I know it must be so boring right now. Micah Shrewsbury texted me the other day. He's like, man, it's just not the same. No one talking to these free throw shooters. But it was just fun. Sometimes the games are long, and you'll be surprised. Not you wouldn't be surprised, but people would be surprised at how much interaction there is with players. Players come up and they say stuff all the time about me being the former player, and just knowing some of these guys that it's just fun. And I just can't believe that so many guys would just respond and talk to me and like, listen, dude, I'm trying to distract you, and you're allowing me to distract you, and it just became one of those things where they look over and acknowledge me, and they miss, and I'm like, all right, I got you. So,
what's your favorite conversation over the years when you think of all the guys you've yapped with a little bit from that bench?
Man, guys with Stephen Curry and those guys are shooting free throws and they're so good, and man, your form is so great. Like, you've never missed a free throw. Like, your left hand is just perfect. Like, and they get up there and they miss, and they look over at me, they shake their head. So one of the good ones was recently we were playing. I think it was Lance Stevenson, and I had Lance. He was a rookie. I spent a lot of time with him, so we had a great relationship. And we're just talking, and he didn't understand. I'm giving him praise, but at the same time, I'm trying to get him to be selfish and just try to take over, start shooting. And after a while, he comes back. I know what you're trying to do. So it's great. I've had plenty of conversations. LeBron will come over all the time.
Yeah, you don't shy away. Like, from LeBron to Lance, it doesn't really matter who's out there. If you think you can get to somebody, I've seen you.
They all come over. Carmelo and, missing the 2 free throws. Oklahoma City a couple weeks ago. Just, I'm riding those guys the whole game with just talking, and it's just been really fun for every guy. They all come over and say hello before the games, just from those little, sort of like taunting episodes, and like we've become friends from it. And they know in the beginning of the game, like, how many you gonna give me tonight? I know you're gonna give me one, and it starts with before the game, Carmelo and Russell. Hey man, guys, just take the night off, man. Just get some rest. And you guys play back to back. Just take the night off, and it just starts and just creates this long game, but just going back and forth, and it's a lot of fun.
Do the other coaches kind of look at what's going on there? And I mean, you're just having a running dialogue sometimes with these guys. I
don't know if they know or not, but like a lot of times, man, if you watch us, we're over there cracking up because to some of the responses or things they do. And I mean, it's just not with the players; it's with the officials as well. I have a lot of fun with these officials. I probably should have been thrown out of 30 or 40 games, but we've had a great rapport. They know it's all fun, and we really enjoy it.
You're, as I mentioned, 12 and a half years total here in Boston. Your best memory of your times here is what?
I just think the fans, man. Tommy Heinsohn, just being able to, as a player, just go over to Tommy Heinsohn's house, and you got Satch Sanders over there, you got Bob Cousy over there, you got John Havlicek over there, and just having this, just being a sponge. Just
that's
listening.
Pretty badass
yeah.
to have all those guys in one. That's pretty. That actually happened. All those guys. Kind of.
Yeah, like as a player,
a little barbecue kind of.
Yeah, and it would just sitting out in the backyard and just. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awesome, And those experiences were better than any playing experience. People always ask me, I'm like, be able to get that knowledge and to meet Bill Russell, just sit there on the bench and talk to Bill Russell about playing for 15 minutes. Or having conversations with Red Auerbach in the locker room, and just all those guys are so great. And those are some of my most memorable, just those conversations with those guys. But obviously, when we played there, we were very young, trying to figure it all out. Just watching Paul mature and Antoine do what he did. I think the most memorable things came off the court. Just being able to interact with fans and. Like the former players, the former greats.
You were part of the Eastern Conference Finals team in 2002, right?
Right.
That was that underrated year for this franchise because before then the 90s were terrible for the Celtics, and that team with you guys and young Antoine and Paul. I mean, just getting to that conference finals was a pretty significant accomplishment for that Celtic team.
It was, and it was also about winning the city back over. Like our fans really started to come out strong. And at the time was the Fleet Center. The Fleet Center was loud, and it was just a fun time. We were building something really special, and guys were playing hard, but guys were playing for one another, which was the Celtic way. Like, you put on this jersey, it's about being Celtics, and that was the start of that, turning that around.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard from Rick Pitino since you took the job?
I have, man. I text my man all the time. He's so excited.
You want a job on the staff to
no
come out? I mean, it's near to it's not far. Like,
I think he's enjoying the good Florida weather right now.
What do you look for? I mean, this is your first opportunity to put together a staff of your own, to kind of flesh out your own kind of operation there. What do you look for in a staff as you're kind of preparing a head coaching job?
Basketball junkies, guys who really know the game, but guys who are really good people, guys who kind of who are fun to be around, guys who I trust is going to always make the right decision, when they're away from me or whatever they're doing when they're recruiting. But, the guys who just do it the right way, guys who know how to build a good culture, but guys who've been through the fire a little bit as far as from a coaching standpoint of seeing everything and just help me to be able to have my team prepared. But just guys who you love to be around, guys who can help you create that culture, that winning culture.
So for people that aren't familiar with the task at hand that you have kind of in front of you, what's the state of your program right now? I mean, how big a job are you taking on?
It was a really big job. Just trying to continue to fill out the roster, possibly having two guys who may be leaving your program who were the best teams, best players from the year before. Really getting your donors and your boosters and everybody excited about the program and trying to fill an arena, that hasn't been filled in such a long time. Trying to get the community back involved in the university. It's been a lot, but it's been fun meeting new people and just doing it together. They have the resources to be a special program, and they've been there. I watched them as a kid coming to Aces games, and it was a lot of fun, and that's what we want to get it back to.
Did you? I mean, as you're making this decision, you're, as we mentioned, the franchise that you're leaving, the job that you're leaving. I mean, was it a tough call to make that move?
Oh, it's a very tough call, and especially when you have family and you have a daughter in high school. And just leaving my comfort zone here with Brad, with Danny, with people I know. They were awesome. This organization is awesome from top to bottom. When you talk about Wick Rosbeck and Steve Pagliuca and so on to Danny Ainge and Mike Zarin down to Brad and our coaching staff. I've never had so much fun in basketball as a coach. Like we all support each other, but we all we get our work done. So from that standpoint, to leave that is scary, but it also shows me this is how I have to build my staff. This is how I have to build my program. This is the culture. It's a huge lesson for me. I'm glad that I've been a part of it because now I can go somewhere and feel confident knowing that I know how you should do it. I know how to get it done. And if we can complement what they do here, we're going to be successful.
Couple of questions about your experience in Boston. Going back to the Pitino days, that Celtic team, a lot of Kentucky guys on it from at various points. You, Antoine, Ron Mercer, Tony Delk, name a few of them. Why didn't it all kind of translate? Why didn't it come together under Rick with that group?
Well, I think he one of those guys because we were familiar with his system. We were familiar with him as a coach and how he worked, and the more guys that he had buying in would help with the other guys buying in. But I think when you're losing, it doesn't help. And at that time, we were very young. And everybody was trying to find themselves as young players, trying to find themselves, but also everybody's trying to get those contracts. And when you have those two, it's not good because he's trying to win. He's trying to implement what he wants to do, but all the other guys, everybody has individual goals and what they're trying to do, and it just didn't work. We were so young, and it's just like watching Sacramento today, or watching Phoenix, or watching these young guys just trying to figure it out. You get so much on your plate, and until you get 5 and 6 years in where you understand what it's about, and you start adding these veterans and all this stuff, then you can start to really hone in like, okay, this is why we're here. This is what we're doing. But we were just too young. We were just too young.
When he left the team in that middle of the 2002 season, was that a shock for you at that time?
I remember him coming up to me. We were on the road. We were in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's where he left after the Miami game, yeah.
I'm warming up, and he calls me back into the locker room to speak to him, and he says, hey, Walt, this is my last game. And it was a shock. We knew it had been kind of tough on him because what he was accustomed, and a lot of run-ins with players because it was tough winning and, losing as much as we were. But it was a shock because I've never known him to step away from something. He's always came out on top. And I think that he would have if he would have just had a little more time. I think the bad thing is he wanted it so fast, and it just didn't work that way. Mm-hmm. You have to build something. You have to build it the right way, and he wanted to win so fast. So if he didn't think he could win with you, a player coming here, he got rid of you. Mm-hmm. So there was never any continuity. There was never any carryover. Guys are in, guys are out, guys are in, guys are out, guys are in, guys are out. And it just made it tough. There was never any carryover, and I think he just wanted to do it too fast, and it just couldn't be done with a young team like that.
How much do you think you've been here long enough that you know the pressure that's on every team in the city to win? I mean, it's not like many other cities, because if you don't win, you don't have a lot of grace period to grow. How much do you think that wore on Rick during his time here?
I think it wore him a lot because, he's driven, he wants to win. But what I also think is that he put a lot of pressure on himself right away. And I think if he would have came in and said, hey, this is going to take 4 or 5 years. Let's be patient. Let's get the team we want. Let's let these players grow a little bit. Let's try to see if we can get somebody in free agency. I think it would have been much different. But I think coming in, he wanted to do it right away, put pressure on himself, got into it a little bit with the media. I just think he just tried to do it too fast, and it didn't work.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you was, what was it like for you last year watching Isaiah do what he did? I mean, it didn't end in a championship, obviously, but that I saw it from my vantage point, one of the most inspirational playoff performances throughout that I've ever seen. What was that like for you?
Oh, man, it was a lot of fun. We're so excited for him. Like the hope that he gave, not just the city and people around, but like the hope that he gave his teammates, man, just the way he played. And I love IT. He still texts me to this day. I love him. IT was always IT. No matter win, lose, he was the same giving, loving person, and he was going to stick around and face the media whether he won, lost, or you just had to respect him. He's that type of guy that you had to respect him because he was always the same. He worked hard. He was in the gym longer than anybody. He really put the time in. He put the time in the community. He just did all the right things, and I think people even appreciated him more for that because it was genuine. He did it because he loved to do it, and he understood the platform that he had, and that just made him even more special as a player and the things that he did on the court.
He was playing. Can think about the physical pain and emotional pain that he played through during that run. It really won't go down in the record books because the season ended the conference finals. But if you were around it and you witnessed it, it really was something to see.
Yeah, he's a tough sucker, man. He didn't want to come out the games. He played through pain and he'd get right back up. Go down, he'd get right back up. And I just really respect him and commend him for what he was able to do, just not for him, but what he did for us. We're not at the All-Star game, if not for IT. So he was able to put us on the platform too as assistant coaches, and with Brad, we owe a lot to him.
You going to adjust to that lifestyle of not the charter jets there? I know some college coaches that went pro couldn't go back to college because they got a taste of this lifestyle.
I've always been a humble guy, and for me, it's not about the lifestyle. It's just about the people you're around, and just being able to teach these young guys, and that's where I get my glory from. Just being able to teach these guys and make sure that they have a great experience and help them on and off the court, grow up as men. So